3, hit it!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's Caffeine for the Soul. And today I wanted to talk about the meaning for me behind a phrase that I first heard in a workshop for speakers, for presenters. So I had been a teacher and trainer since 1990. And when my first book was being published, I think it actually came out in 2006, but in 2005 I knew it was coming and that I was going to be asked to give talks to promote it. And even though I had done a lot of teaching and training, I hadn't done a lot of speaking since I was in school. And so I thought, I should do a course. And I tried different courses, and most of the ones that I saw were very technique-based and didn't suit me. But I did this one, and there was something about it that really appealed to me. And the thing that I remember most was an exercise from a program called Speaking Circles by a guy named Lee Glickstein. And the exercise, as I remember it, was called Being With. And so what we each did is we stood up in front of an audience, and for 1 minute, our job was just to be with the audience. So not to talk to them about anything, not to share anything, not to ask anything, but just to be with them. And each round, we would be with them and then add in a little bit, like we'd add in saying our names and what we were there for. We'd do it again and we'd be with them, and then when we had that feeling of connection, we would begin to give our talk. And I realized, I can do anything from here because this is the same space I go into when I'm with a client, except when I'm with a client, I've always thought of it as deep listening. So my mentor Mavis Karn has some beautiful ways of describing deep listening. She says deep listening is to listen to someone until you can just feel what's in their heart. It's a feeling of connection, regardless of agreement. It's a feeling of, And I recognize that deep listening could be present even when the other person or people weren't talking. And so to just be with is to just be with, without anything on your mind, without any agenda. And one of the first times, I don't know if it was the first time, but boy, it was one of the most profound times where I really saw, I can be with, I can listen deeply, I can have that feeling of connection regardless of agreement, was when I was being told off by one of the most respected people in my field. And they came to tell me off about the way that I was teaching what I was teaching. And it was very positively intended, and I kind of knew it was coming, so I wasn't unduly daunted by it. But what happened was we looked at each other before they even began talking, and we both just dropped into that being with space, that deep feeling of connection. It's a kind of an intimacy, but it's not an intimacy born of information or time. It's an intimacy born of a recognition in the moment. It's that which is looking out through my eyes, recognizing that which is looking out through yours. It's a soul-to-soul connection instead of mind-to-mind or even heart-to-heart. But it facilitates mind-to-mind and heart-to-heart. And in this telling off, all I remember was that I had not felt so deeply, intimately connected to the other person. And I could tell they were feeling it too. And so while what they were saying was not particularly favorable, some of it I agreed with, some of it I didn't. My experience of it was so profound that when that person a few years later apologized to me about it, which they didn't need to, but they very, very graciously did, because they realized that it wasn't, they didn't know me well enough to do that. All I could say was, my God, that's one of my happiest memories. You really have nothing to apologize for. And what I've learned since that time is that the heart of sharing, the heart of teaching, the heart of coaching, the heart of friending, befriending, is simply the art of being with. And you can be with anyone at any time, no matter what. Just being with. Nothing on your mind, no agenda. And if you haven't already, play with it right now. Can you just be with these words as they're coming without having to make anything of them, do anything with them, try to understand them? Can you just be with them? Can you be with the space you're in as you're listening? Whatever room you're in or space you're in if you're outside, can you be with the trees and the plants, or the chairs and the tables, or the bed and the laptop, or whatever is there with you? Can you be with yourself? Not trying to judge yourself or fix yourself, make yourself better or worse, happier or more anything. Just be with. And I really encourage you to play with being with yourself, being with others, being with your environment. And what you will probably find, if you're anything like most of the people I talk to about this, is you're not as good at it as you kind of think you will be. But even a moment of that deep connection, that connection that is so profound that it's almost not a connection because there's no separation between you and the other. It's not only possible, it's natural. And the more you attend to it, the more that becomes your experience of yourself and others and life. Have fun, learn heaps, happy exploring, and I'll talk with you soon.